Coming up on This Week in Computer Hardware, Samsung cancels the Note 7. Western Digital's making SSDs again. Why Forza Horizon 3 sucks on PCs. Cheap 10 gigabit networking and more. All coming up next on TWiCH.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiCH.
Bandwidth for TWiCH is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This is TWiCH, This Week in Computer Hardware, episode 385, recorded October 13th, 2016. Note 7 out, Western Digital SSDs in.
This episode of This Week in Computer Hardware is brought to you by Grasshopper. Stay connected and run your business from your mobile phone with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, visit trygrasshopper.com/twit.
Welcome to TWiCH, This Week in Computer Hardware, TWiCH's weekly show that aims to bring you the most useful, most informative, and today perhaps most flame-filled hardware coverage available anywhere on the internet and any other known network, universe, or world. I was trying to get the legalese going there, but it didn't quite work out. Ryan, save me.
I probably can't, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that's honest.
You know.
Oh, my goodness. If you haven't seen it, there's a wonderful article in the New York Times, which rolls a video as soon as you open it up of what a Galaxy Note 7 looks like when it's burning. It's really scary because it's a phone with smoke coming out of it because it is engulfed in burning, or maybe the burning has been put out and this is just the smoking wreckage. But in any case, the magic smoke is certainly out of that Galaxy Note 7. I bring that up because Samsung's ended it. They've called it. It's over. They have
tapped out.
Ended production. They have perfect. They have tapped out, right? So we had the initial reports. We had the not quite a recall. We had the recall. We had recalled phones bursting on flames. In one case, in a Southwest Airlines flight, which is really, I can't think of a worse place. I can probably think of a worse. Oh, I know exactly a worse place for a phone to burst on fire. I know that because I titled it "A Phone on Fire Strapped to Your Face" because the nice folks at Google have basically set up the Gear VR so it will not operate with a Samsung Note 7. Because really, the only thing worse than a phone on fire in a plane in your lap is a phone on fire while strapped to your face in a Google headset. So
yeah, not like you're just holding it up to your face like you're on a phone call, but like literally Velcroed to your face with the intent of staying on as well as possible.
Yeah. So, ate that. Humor aside, and it's thin humor when you're discussing whether or not, third-degree facial burns with your eyes and who knows what all else. The don't shut it down. If you can't shut it down, back it up and then shut it down. There's been 92 reports of batteries overheating in the United States, according to the New York Times, 26 reports of burns, 55 reports of property damage, according to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. People are apparently still trying to run them because, hey, this is an expensive and really nice phone. But if you bought a Galaxy Note 7 from Samsung's website, the New York Times has called 1-844-365-6197 or go to samsung.com/US/Note7recall. Take it to, you can basically contact the wireless carrier or the retail store where you bought it. Samsung has revived the fireproof shipping boxes to return them to Samsung. I'll just leave that there and you can react to that how you will. This is,
okay.
This is probably, it's probably going to end up being a minuscule number. We're talking about a recall of 2.5 million phones, which is going to cost Samsung billions of dollars, not counting any court actions that might come out of this. But this is brutal. This may be the biggest product fail I think we've seen since we started doing this podcast together. And, this is episode like 385. So we've been doing this for, I don't think I've seen anything like this.
Yeah. It's almost like, at least it happened early in the lifespan of the product. You know, like 2.5 million is a lot of units, but had this gone on through the holiday season type of thing this year, it would have been substantially worse for them. Now, they'll be able to handle the financial hit that they get from this pretty easily, but like the jokes will like when the Galaxy S8 Edge launches, right? And any Samsung phone you have from this point forward, any Samsung device really from this point forward is going to have that, oh, does it catch on, does it have the catch on fire feature too, right? And everything, every other product Samsung makes would just be more heavily scrutinized. Like I think I saw stories about, oh, look, here's a washer and dryer that was made by Samsung that caught on fire or had some kind of overheating issue type of thing. And they're obviously completely different systems and totally unrelated, but if you're Samsung, you have to be worried about like a very long-term problem on your hands, a very long-term just like PR nightmare going on there. Yeah, top-load washers. See? Don't stick your Galaxy Note 7 into your wash machine. That would be doubly worse.
Yeah, the Verge is posting another article, which I think looks back at some New York Times reporting that basically says Samsung does not know what the problem was and indicates that blaming Samsung SDI for battery manufacturing flaws was probably done prematurely. And it's a mess. Because, I mean, one of the things I saw on Twitter is like, oh, wouldn't it be great if it was just replaceable batteries? And I'm like, yeah, replacing the battery is great if replacing the battery is actually the problem. And if you don't know what the problem is or you can't replicate it, because apparently they have like hundreds of engineers tasked on this that are having difficulty replicating. You know, how do you get a phone to light on fire? Well, if it's not an obvious flaw, it's brutal, really brutal. I feel bad for Samsung. I feel bad for everybody who's bought one. Everybody at Google must be thrilled and probably also double checking their math and doing an additional round of testing on the new Flex phones. But goodness. Moving on to slightly less depressing news. Western Digital gets back in the SSD game with blue and green SSDs. It's like, whoa, this is exciting. Quotes, it's been 6 years, Alan writes, since we saw an SSD come out of Western Digital, but we've suspected some new ones may be coming after their recent acquisition of SanDisk. That actually makes a lot of sense. And two models. Blue, the Endurance model, 250 gigabytes, 500 gigabyte, and 1 terabyte, and the Power Blue. I'm reading the power ratings for them as separate devices. 42 milliwatts, 52 milliwatts in slumber mode. DevSlep is 4.9 milliwatts, 9.7 milliwatts, and average active power is 70 milliwatts, which is not a lot of juice. Performance looks good, not spectacular. And then there's going to be a Western Digital Green available later this quarter. No idea what the pricing on that's going to be.
Yeah, they don't have pricing on it.
Almost
cheap. Go ahead.
I was going to say competitive pricing, almost cheap for the 1 terabyte version.
Yeah, like the WD Blue is what we have the pricing for, and it's 1 terabyte will apparently be $299, and so you would expect the green will be less than that. Although I don't know, we couldn't determine yesterday if the green actually went up to 1 terabyte as well, or it may stop at 500. We have these drives. Alan is currently working on the review of them. It looks like an SSD. So in terms of visual excitement, maybe not a whole lot to it. But for $300, it's pretty good. And I think we're talking about, it's a Marvell controller on here. So it'll be interesting to see where it is, how it compares to previous SanDisk products, if Western Digital really even had time to really implement any changes of their own from kind of a corporate direction standpoint to them. Right. But, Western Digital needed to be in the solid state market. They needed to be a player in this based on the direction that everything is going, right? So it makes sense for them to make that acquisition and then to start releasing products with their name on it. I thought it was interesting that they decided to use the same brand that they use on their hard drives, blue, green. Yeah. We assume maybe you'll see a black at some point in the future that would be a higher performance SSD. Probably not a red, at least not for a while. Something that's made to be in array configurations, because people still don't think of solid state drives and really in that mindset.
I think it'll be
299 is pretty good.
Yeah, 299 is pretty good for MSRP. You're looking at like, I want to say 27 cents a gigabyte, give or take, for it's right around there for Crucial's MX300 1 terabyte drive. Hardware Canucks did a write-up, did an early review. And the challenge of this is they got it out fast, right? They bought SanDisk. They actually, by product development terms, they actually got this product out fairly quickly. But it's all TLC NAND, and it's not particularly it's not as fast as Crucial's MX300 or Hardware Canucks Notes, OCZ's VX500, and even PNY's Accelerate CS221111. Quote, offer a similar price per gigabyte, offer better performance, enhanced data loss protection, a longer warranty, more robust NAND, or some combination thereof. Which is not even damning with faint praise. It's just damning. So Western Digital is a huge company. Hopefully they will expand the warranty, or the price that they actually street at will be so competitive you won't actually notice what's going on in terms of warranty or something like that. But I'm really curious to see Allen's numbers and if they agree with what Hardware Canucks found. The truth is all of these are real fast. And about as real fast as the other. Most of the benchmarks I'm looking at, it's sitting right there in the middle of the SATA pack, literally and figuratively. So we'll see. We will see. I don't know. It's good to see Western Digital in this space. I'm very curious to see what it ends up being and what they come up with next. So I have a Drobo 5D right here in the office. In fact, it's sitting under the laptop I'm using to record it's serving as a wonderful base for the laptop I'm using to record this podcast right now. As Alan notes in his review of the new Drobo 5C 5-bay USB Type-C DAS, that's desk attached storage review. It's not cheap. It's about $600, but it's fairly quick. They're rocking an MSATA hot data cache, and which helps with getting things moving a little faster. But apparently Drobo's got new management and, quote, a renewed purpose with a focus on getting lower cost yet performance products out there. So they turned the 4-bay product, did the 3rd generation bump in December 14. And then they're kind of, with 4 drives, your disk redundancy, as you start to run disk with 4 drives in the box, you are starting to run out of space when you start putting on disk redundancy. So it's a 5-bay replacement to the 4-bay 3rd gen Drobo. So, and this is going to be the base model on the line, the base model in their lineup. So USB 3.0 or Type-C interfaces. It's good to see Type-C showing up there. 5x3.25 inch drive base. And the idea is to go to super affordable. So did Alan, how did Alan find the performance when the beating and the benchmarking started?
It's pretty good, right? So you got to think it's USB 3.0, not 3.1. And it's limited to about just over 200 megabytes per second, which is, not peaking USB 3.0. Right. It's about on par with the performance of the previous Drobo, the 4-bay, in terms of USB 3.0 performance. So, anywhere from 180 to 220 megabytes per second on reads and writes. So it performs well, I guess, right? It's faster than network attached storage. It's faster than gigabit Ethernet. If you get into 10 gig, then you're in a different cost bracket as well. And the key for this is really the move from 4 bays to 5 bays, and then the cost is relatively inexpensive. If you look at other 5-bay external storage devices, right. $349 is pretty good. That's without any hard drives, obviously, but $349 is pretty good. And I've had a lot of complaints about Drobo products in the past, just in terms of performance. Like the first network attached ones we had were really slow. Yeah. And
that was also a long time ago.
It was, but it kind of like tainted my view of it. Even though the product of Drobo is actually really, really, really good. The ease of use, the capabilities of the software and the hardware and how it all just kind of works together seamlessly is really, really great. So, you know, if you need a sitting on your desk type external storage device, you know, for mass storage, but you don't need it, you know, PCIe type speed local, then it's a fantastic device for that. That starts out pretty cheap, and you can put up to 5 10 terabyte drives in it. And if you only use single drive redundancy, you got 40 terabyte RAID array sitting on your desk, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, it occurs to me that I have the 5DT on my desktop, which is a combination of USB 3.0 and Thunderbolt. You know, it's everything I need for local backup, and I've got terabytes of video stored on there, and I don't have to deal with moving it over the NAS, which is problematic in the work environment I'm in. So I'm pretty excited. The price seems really, really good. You know, $349. You know, you're looking at solid backup, solid recovery, and a decent amount of performance for the money, I think. So, yay, Drobo. I don't know. It's interesting to watch storage evolve. I'm just waiting to the point where I can have, like, you know, multi 4 terabyte SSD drives, you know, in a USB 3.1 enclosure.
I mean, you're close. I was looking today. You can get 4 terabyte H850 Evos. They're $1,300 a piece, but you can get them.
I should also probably mention right now that Drobo is a TWiCH sponsor.
Coincidence, I guess, on this side, but like I don't know. I agree that like the storage culture doesn't seem to have changed a whole lot. Like, you know, external storage arrays are, you know, they I don't know. I'm still using one from like 6 years ago that was like Thunderbolt 1 rated on one of our systems, you know, and we'll talk. I think we have another story about it later, but like the advent of like 10 gig E is kind of what's gonna maybe get me moving in that direction eventually. So,
well, we'll talk about 10 gig E in just a moment, or 10 gig E becoming affordable, relatively speaking. But we got to take a moment to thank our sponsors over at Grasshopper. Grasshopper is a virtual phone system designed for entrepreneurs. You don't have time to be fighting with a traditional phone system. I mean, Grasshopper works like a traditional phone system, but there's no hardware purchase, no software installation. They have an iOS and Android app. Callers can reach you wherever you are on your mobile phone. Grasshopper allows you to keep your existing number so you can maintain your brand. And when you make a call, your client will see your Grasshopper caller ID instead of your personal phone number. You getting it now? It's super simple, super easy, and keeps a layer between you and your business, which is so hard to do as an entrepreneur. Simply select a toll-free or local number, record a custom greeting, and add multiple extensions for your business. Toll-free numbers are great for marketing, and they make your business sound more professional. They make you sound bigger. Ryan's got a 1-800 number? He must be for real. Set up department and employee extensions with a custom call forwarding to any phone in the world. Get voicemails emailed to you as auto attachments. You can also send and receive SMS text messages from your business number. It's really cool. Join the over 250,000 Grasshopper customers today. Plan started at just $12 a month, and you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. This is cheap. You got a money-back guarantee. It's time, people. Turn your smartphone into a business line with Grasshopper. To save $50 on your order, go to trygrasshopper.com/twit. That's trygrasshopper.com/TWiT. And we thank Grasshopper for their support. So many business tools getting so much better. I would mention another business tool, but then I would have to announce that it's also a TWiT sponsor, but I was using it before it became a TWiT sponsor. So we've been really excited as the consoles kind of standardize on x86 processors. Our friends at Microsoft trying to bring everything into sort of one universal application environment, which led to me really having a painful launch to the show today because of what I think is a different version of Skype that I'd never seen before, universally launching on my laptop instead of the Skype that actually works. there's some interesting problems evolving in the way code gets moved around. I thought this was really interesting up on GameRevolution.com. An explanation for Forza Horizon 3's PC performance problems has finally been discovered. And it basically comes down to memory handling. Jonathan Leake wrote this up this weekend. I thought it was really interesting, right? Quote, Forza Horizon 3's PC version has been a cause for frustration among many PC gamers, myself included. Significant performance issues, including lower than expected frame rates and jarring stutter, have marred an otherwise outstanding experience that has become one of 2016's most highly rated. And somebody in the Forza forums basically came up with the idea that's like CPU usage normal, GPU usage is normal, the use system memory, and then like dynamic video memory usage, GPU MC utilization is low, right, at 0 to 15%, and the GPU power draw is really, really low. So it was interesting that the dynamic video usage and the used system memory total close to around 8 gigabytes. And Rockstonico on the official Forza forums says, from this, I can conclude the engine is still using similar memory management as is used on the Xbox One. When the GPU frame buffer is overloaded, the game begins using system RAM as additional frame buffer memory. This also explains why people are seeing high utilization on one CPU core while the rest remain relatively idle. On the Xbox One, the system RAM is unified, meaning video and system RAM are both accessing DDR3 RAM with 68.3 gigabytes per second bandwidth, along with an additional bidirectional 50 gigabytes per second from ESRAM. Only massively overclocked GD4 barely has the bandwidth to provide a smooth frame rate when it's being used as additional frame buffer memory alongside GPU GDDR5. This cannot work well on PC hardware. So it looks like the assumption at this point is that the Forza port was a cut and paste for the PC, and it's not working so well for a lot of people out there.
I can't say I'm shocked by that revelation. And you know, it's interesting because if you look at the architectures between the PS4 and the Xbox One is the only one that has that SRAM.
Right.
So it's the only one that fundamentally would be a poor choice to cut and paste. If you had a PS4 game that you copy pasted over to a PC, it would work much closer, right? There's less architectural variance between those two platforms. So not a shock that they don't mention anything. They're not going to fix it, I assume, is the case. But hopefully they're learning from this at the very least, right? Where I haven't tried out the new Gears of War 4 yet that came out on both systems, but you would assume that they would go, oh, hey, we can't do that anymore. We can't, that technique that we used on that platform not only does it improve things on this side, but it actually is a detriment to performance. And once you recognize that type of stuff, hopefully there are smart enough people to like, you know, change it, shift directions at least slightly.
Generally speaking, negatively impacting performance is bad on a consumer game. I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's also amazing to realize I'm trying to figure out if there is an easy way on Steam to figure out how many games on Steam actually use more than one core on your CPU.
Yeah.
But, you know, I was at a funny discussion last weekend where I was like, you know, most PC games, vast majority of PC games that are played, the vast majority of hours are still using a single core. And somebody's like, no, they're using multi-cores. I'm like, the newest ones, the latest ones. But it's kind of amazing how sort of behind the curve a lot of that stuff sits. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. DX12 is helping, but how many machines are actually DX12 capable at this point?
I mean, there's a lot out there. I don't know. It's more of, do the developers need the benefits that DX12 provides yet? Like, again, it's heavily impacted on like CPU utilization and higher utilization of your hardware. But for the most part, people have a lot of hardware in their systems already. So like, what's the change worth?
At this point, probably not as much as getting a better GPU.
Right.
So getting a faster network. Who doesn't want faster network performance, kids? Oh my goodness. I've been looking at I've been basically doing speed tests on Amplify HD, the Eero, I just got contacted from Netgear. There's a couple other things, or a couple standard routers I'm looking at too. I'm about to weep because the spreadsheet is getting impenetrable, or at least just large, the wall of the spreadsheet. I bring that up because, it's kind of been accepted that, yeah, we got gigabit. You can go to some of the faster, 802.11 AC stuff. But 10 gig networking has been out of reach, as in, a hub and a couple of network cards are going to cost more than you paid for your PC. That said, ASUS just dropped an unmanaged 10 gigabit switch for $250, which sounds outrageous if you're thinking but I just bought an 8-port switch for $40 from somebody I've never heard of off Amazon. Well, this isn't that. Quote, LEDs in the front will glow amber if the cable you use is not up to the new standard. Otherwise, expect green for go. Support jumbo frames up to 16 kilobytes, just like the more expensive models. A compact 9.44 by 4.29 by 1.06 inches. So you should easily be able to find a home for it, which means it's not a rack mount model. Jeremy wrote this up on PCPro.com. I'm sort of half excited about this, and half, trying to think what I could use it to connect. It would be cool to use it to connect my router in the house to, or the network in the house and the network in the garage. But the reality is I don't have anything that runs 10 gigabit that I want to run to. For example, my network attached storage box, or any of my machines. I couldn't really take advantage of it. I would be curious also to see if they're going to offer inexpensive 10 gig cards at this point. So.
Right. I am incredibly excited about 10 gig just across the board, especially since the stuff that we deal with in our office is such huge file sizes in some instances.
Right.
Like we have a machine that does these captures that are, hundreds of gigabytes a piece, and it's quicker for us to transcode them locally and then copy them off through the network, as opposed to if we had 10 gig, we would copy them off to a much higher performance system that could do the transcodes much more quickly and efficiently to put them on the permanent storage that way, thus allowing us to free up the cycles on that system that's only like a quad-core machine, to do more captures in a more timely manner. The switch here is it only has 2 ports that are 10 gig E. So we had a thought last night. Alan mentions how different is this than just running a patch cable between 2 systems that have 10 gig E Ethernet ports. And right. Sure, that's a valid point. But if nothing else, what this switch allows you to do for $250 is keep everything on the same network, right? So those right. 2 systems can now communicate at the higher speed, but your other kind of workstation machines can still communicate with each other and with those 10 gig E machines at least the 1 gig E option. So I'm still looking forward to it. I would like to see, this go up to 8 ports for $250 of all 10 gig or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then I might be able to start, hey, I'm going to invest in some 10 gigabit add-in cards for systems in our office, because there's only one motherboard that offers it integrated and it's super expensive. But I think Alan mentioned something that you can get 10 gig E cards of the not newest, one generation previous Intel NIC, which is still going to work right. fine for $150, and they're 2 ports on Amazon and eBay and that type of stuff. So it would be something we would consider, especially to go between long-term storage, editing machines, capture machines, those types of things. But anytime you can get ASUS in there, they're putting out a product. Now that means right. Linksys has to put out a product for $250. Maybe they make it $230. Maybe they make it $250 with 4 10 gigabit ports instead of 2, and you get this waterfall effect. And this is how we get good products for lower yeah. prices and faster. So
okay. So the ROG Maximus 8 Extreme assembly has 10 gig Ethernet. I was kind of surprised that they didn't offer any, kind of cards or adapters for that. So be curious to see where that ends up. I will follow Alan's lead after I figure out what I'm actually going to connect and take advantage of. Because I figure if I buy a $250 10G router now, by the time I actually have a motherboard with 10G in it, y'all be able to buy one for $100.
Yeah.
I mentioned,
exactly.
I I mentioned mesh networking a couple of minutes ago. The other person that came out of the woodwork on mesh networking is Google Wi-Fi, which I don't think we really talked about last week. Single and triple packs of its puck-shaped smartphone-controlled Wi-Fi nodes, again, building around mesh networking. So I don't think I'm going to be able to get one out of Google, but right now we're looking at November shipping, $129 for a single, which is cheap. 3-pack for $299, which is not quite as cheap as the Amplify, but cheaper than the Eero. We will see. We will see how it goes. The initial sort of on-hub routers, while people enjoyed them a lot, did not deliver the best performance for the money. So I'll be very curious to see where the Google Wi-Fi ends up on that list. Steve Ken tweets at Patrick Norton, at Ryan Shrout, and I just erased it. Patrick Norton at Ryan Shrout. I know the minimum specs for Oculus says a 970, but I was wondering what would happen if you tried it with a 960. I think it would be painful.
Today, for sure.
Yeah.
But here's what's interesting is at the Oculus Connect conference 2 weeks ago, last week, they announced the ability to do that. They call it wasn't time warp anymore, space warp feature, which sounds way cooler than it actually is. But with the specific target of bringing the minimum spec for VR down to a GTX 960. Now, I don't know when that's out. I don't think it's part of the SDK now. And they even mentioned, even more interestingly, for Steve Ken, we'll go with Steve Ken, specifically is that they said this will be an automatic thing. Game developers don't have to like write specifically for it, that this spaceport capability would be applied to all games. So in theory, if a game had enough, like they built it correctly to meet that GTX 970 spec, when this feature gets pushed out, they should automatically be able to drop everything down to a GTX 960 for minimum spec, which obviously for VR, it's all about increasing that addressable market, getting that TAM up, as they say, and bringing this into a different class of graphics cards. Now you can include the RX 470 maybe, and now you can include the GTX 960, and you get a lot of other capabilities like that. And also, I believe that this has a lot to do with them wanting to be able to put the Oculus Rift on the new Xbox Scorpio when it comes out next year. So we'll see how that ends up. But for this guy specifically, that's actually may directly address his concern if he doesn't have the ability or doesn't want to upgrade in the near-term future.
There you have it, people. Oh my goodness. Chip, the people who made the $9 PC are back at it again with the Chip Pro, which was announced a couple days earlier this week. GR8 chip with like 256 gigabytes of RAM. Pre-mounted on a board, going to be available December 16, selling $6 in short or large orders. So it's like a 1 gigahertz ARM V7A processor. 256 megabyte DDR3, 512 megabytes of SLC NAND, I2S audio with 2 mics, BGN, Bluetooth 4.2, fully certified, open source. And the idea is that you will be able to breadboard a project and go straight to the factory floor. One package, one price, $6 in any quality. So I think it's really curious. It's basically a very tiny Linux machine. And I will be very curious to see what people do with this. It's really cool. If you keep scrolling, if you scroll all the way down, the pinout's actually really fun to look at if you want to severely nerd out. That's the development board. And then you can keep scrolling down, and there it is. Look at all those pins. Well, soldering points. Ground, USB, VBus. Yeah, it's been fun to see what people are doing with the Chip PC, and now we know why they built the Chip PC, so they can build something that scales even larger. Oakland in the house. I drive by them a lot on the way home. I can see what they're building, so it's like East Bay pride, people. That, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. We have an announcement from PC Per. If your dream
yes.
has been to move to Florence, Kentucky, hang out in a recently remodeled church, and bask in the glory that is the presence of Ryan and Alan. And I will say, having basked in that glory, or blasted that glory for that matter at CES, these are two of the smartest people I know and two of the most fun people I know. And if you would like to be strapped to a video editing machine, or better yet, making them do what you want because you're the producer at PC Per, ladies and gentlemen, the opportunity is here because PC Perspective is hiring a video producer and editor. So if y'all are in Kentucky,
no, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area. It has to be a local. I've had like probably 6 people email me and go, I could do this remotely. And I'm like, no, actually you can't, because you have to be like hit buttons on cameras and switches and stuff. And then obviously you need me to look over your shoulder to tell you how we want these videos edited for a while.
You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. But we need it. We need it. We've got a lot of work lined up in this field for the rest of this year and going well into 2017. So if you guys are interested, just send me an email. Ryan@pcper.com works for that. And let's talk it out. Let's talk it out. Patrick, you want to move to Florence? Move to Florence for a part-time gig?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Commute's not so bad.
We're gonna cost of living's gonna be down. You're gonna discover what winters feel like, and we'll only be really far from everyone in our family and everything we know. That's gonna be such a great conversation.
But there is Panda Express across the street from the office. So
hey,
you win some, you lose some, right?
It's tempting. We'll talk. We'll talk.
Okay.
How many hours a week is this? How much is this?
For you, I'd be willing to go up to like 30 at first and then, expand up to 80 hours a week in just a short period of time. So that way you feel comfortable with your workload. I don't want you to feel out of place too much.
I enjoy the idea. Oh yeah, and I'll have to end tech thing, which I'm sure is going to. So I probably have to say no because either my wife or Shannon will kill me before I can finish the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. Yeah. I guess.
I could do it remotely.
I'm almost to the point of like creating like a text expanded auto reply for when I get those emails, because I expect to get several more throughout the time here. So what are you working on for the rest of this week, Sir Patrick, over there?
Goodness. Man, the latest tech thing is fired up and out in the universe. I did a whole thing on the Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. I got to see some amazing speakers and headphones and audio gear at Rocky Mountain Audio Fest. We talk about the new Comcast cap that got dropped on the entire West Coast, and a large part. I was laughing because somebody's like, the West Coast is getting hit. I'm like, 18 states are getting hit. Like the last part of Alabama that wasn't capped. Dothan is now being hit. So, it's official. A 1 terabyte cap is working its way across the entire country. And if you think a 1 terabyte cap is incredibly generous, you haven't thought about 4K video and some other things yet. You should go to techning.com and learn about that. Oh, and Glasswire. Glasswire is the prettiest firewall I've ever seen in my life. And it's amazing to find out what on your computer is accessing the internet without your permission, or just maybe with your permission, and you just didn't know you gave it your permission when you clicked through the 7,400 page EULA. But exciting product review coming next week. I can't talk about, or else I will be beaten by lawyers or lawyer sharks or sharks.
You're talking about Lenovo?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
It's like their lawyers are quite nice, I imagine.
Yeah, you know what? Let's not find out.
All right, fair enough.
Whoever's lawyers they are, let's not find out. But yeah, exciting review coming for that next week. Anything you can tease at PC Per? Obviously, Western Digital reviews are coming up.
Western Digital SSD reviews are coming up. I will have what's going to be up between now and next week. We will have some MSI Pascal gaming notebook stuff to discuss. Nice. A lot of it, actually. Like 9 laptops. We probably won't be able to look at all 9 of them in the week, but a lot of them. And expect a lot of changes on VR performance analysis in the not too distant future. So By the way, I did the quick math. 20. What do you think? 4K streaming, 20 megabits. That's pretty good guess.
25 megabits on Netflix minimum.
Oh, it's minimum 25. Okay, let me do my Wolfram Alpha calculation again just to double check here. That is 88 hours of video in a month.
Yep.
Is what you get access to.
Yep.
That's not that many hours for a whole month.
Nope.
If you got like a kid that likes to watch TV, or
you fall asleep while it's in autoplay.
Yeah.
I will say
that's unfortunate.
It's interesting. Comcast is obviously invested in pushing people onto their unlimited tier with the associated charge with that. Or the TV service, which is going to happen not in my house. It would almost be tempting to, maybe I'll just, if it wasn't like a 1-year guarantee and then the price would go through the ceiling, I'd almost do the TV service just to get the discounted price, but just not connected to anything.
Sure.
I have no need for cable. I have no interest. Well, actually, it would have been nice to have cable during the Olympics.
If you have cable, then you can get access to all the other streaming services with your login.
But I'll still be watching Netflix and HBO now.
Okay.
It's all about Westworld, man.
I haven't started watching it yet, but I'm interested. What are they on, episode 2 now already?
They're on episode 2.
All right, I'll have to start. All right, I'll do that tonight. Noted.
Yeah. More television than I will ever have a chance to watch, which is why I've decided to stop doing television and start writing books in pencil for micro distribution. This is the future, man.
You're going to write books in pencil?
I'm going to start for art, man. It's the future.
All right, I bet there's a lot of money in that.
Oh, there's absolutely nothing. Almost nothing. And that's what really makes me ahead of the curve. All right, I'm being ridiculous because it's a day before I get to go on vacation, and I'm kind of excited to head back to Jersey for the first time in forever. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ryan Shrout can be found at pcper.com. It is an awesome website full of wind. You can find me at techthing.com or avxl.com, which is slightly less full of wind, but still a tremendous amount of fun. I do that with Shannon Snubs Morse, and hopefully we'll catch you over there. In the meantime, if you would like to catch more of This Week in Computer Hardware, go to twit.tv/TWiCH. That's twit.tv/TWiCH for all of our episodes and all of the links to subscribe to the show. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Ryan Shrout.
See you next week on Twitch.